Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare Yashodanananda Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanananda Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabiyare Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaridhare Yashodanananda Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanananda Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhav, Jai Radha Madhav, Radha Madhav, Jai Radha Madhav. Jaya Pancha Tathā, Jai Pancha Tathā, Pancha Tathā, Jai Pancha Tathā. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki Vrinda ki jai, Nrsimhade Bhagavani ki jai, Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Sri Sri Panchatattva Bhagavani ki jai, Grand Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Shri Gaura Premanandi. All glories to our assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Narayana namaskritya Narachaiva narottamam Devim sarasvatim vyasam Tato jayamudirayat Nashtapraya swabhadresu Nityam bhagavatam sevaya Bhagavati uttamasloke Bhakti bhavati naistiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. So this morning we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, entitled Creation of the Kumaras and Others. And for today's discussion, we are treating verse 42, which is on the board. Sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brahmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brahmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brahmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. Try. Sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brahmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā atha sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. Matajis. Sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brahmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha iti vai gṛhe. sāvitram prājāpatyam ca brāhmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha gṛhe sāvitraṁ prājāpatyam ca brāhmaṁ cātha bṛhat tathā vārtā sañcaya-śālīna śiloñcha gṛhe. Word for word translation. Sāvitram, the thread ceremony of the twice born. Prājāpatyam, to execute the vow for 1 year. Cha, and brahmaṁ, acceptance of the Vedas. Cha, sunbathes. Sunbathes, or what? I don't know what's here. Let's see. Cha is a minute. Let's see what it's saying here. Yeah, cha and sorry. And what is here? And brahman, acceptance of the Vedas, cha and artha, also bṛhat, complete abstinence from sex life. Tathā, then vārtā, vocation in terms of Vedic sanctions. Sañcaya, professional duty. Śālīna, livelihood without asking anyone for cooperation. śila-uñchaḥ, picking up rejected grains. Iti, thus, vai, even though, gṛhe, in household life. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Then the thread ceremony for the thrice born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas, rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. Please repeat responsively. Then the thread ceremony for the thrice born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life, vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. Srila Prabhupada's purport. During student life, the brahmacharis were given full instructions about the importance of the human form of life Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. Only students unable to accept such a vow in life were allowed to go home and marry a suitable wife. Otherwise, the student would remain a permanent brahmachari, observing complete abstinence from sex life for his whole life. It all depended on the quality of the student's training. We had the opportunity to meet an avowed brahmachari in the personality of our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj. Such a great soul is called a Naistika brahmachari. Om Jnana Timiridasya Jnanan Jnana-śālākaya Chakṣuram-militam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dodoti Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yukta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sohoguna Ragunastam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tirtha Swami Iti Namini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Asri Tatmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Titari Iti Namini Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvise Sashunyavadi Pasachade Satarini Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Then the thread ceremony for the twice-born was inaugurated, as were the rules to be followed for at least 1 year after acceptance of the Vedas. Rules for observing complete abstinence from sex life. Vocations in terms of Vedic injunctions, various professional duties in household life, and the method of maintaining a livelihood without anyone's cooperation by picking up rejected grains. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum lagayate grim yat kripatamahan vande Shri Gurudi nataranam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Okanda Mandalakaram Vyaptayina Characharam Tatpadam Dashitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to meditate on this verse and Srila Prabhupada's purport. Before we proceed to say anything concerning this verse, we would first of all like to seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis assembled here this morning. We need their blessings so that we can execute this service of representing the author of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadeva. And in particular, I would want to thank His Grace, Rameshwara Prabhu, who is always inspiring us in the service of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We have never met Srila Prabhupada, but we have met him. And by meeting him, it's as good as meeting Srila Prabhupada. So, Rameshwara Prabhu, your presence, constant presence in this class, in this community, actually reminds us of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for this inspiration. 2 days ago, we heard from His Grace Harilila Prabhu, and he completed his class by saying that by Mahaprabhu's mercy, everything is possible. Such a beautiful way he ended the class. That whatever studies we are supposed to make, whatever sacrifices we are supposed to make, whatever austerities we are supposed to undergo in an effort to become Krishna conscious, has been made easy by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Kantanchana smriti yasmin duskaram sukaram bhavet. Vishmrite viparyatam syat Sri Chaitanya namami tam. That just by remembering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever is very difficult to achieve becomes very, very easy to achieve. And by forgetting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever is very easy to achieve becomes very, very difficult to achieve. So that is the mercy we've all got. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. Even the mere fact that we are all now sitting in the holy dham of Sri Mayapur, is it not the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Certainly. Of course, that mercy is coming through His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, and his glorious disciples. So, Mahaprabhu has come to make things easy for the conditioned souls. Otherwise, things are very difficult in the age of Kali. Everything is bad in Kali Yuga. But Mahaprabhu's advent, his appearance in Kali Yuga, and giving us the opportunity to chant the holy names of Krishna, that is His costless mercy. It's His costless mercy. Vande Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Bhavam Britahiyaha, Aswadyan Swadhyayam Bhaktam Premadikshama Shikshayat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared for the purpose of demonstrating how we can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this very difficult age of Kali. He has come just to taste the nectar of Krishna's holy name, Krishna Bhavamritam, the nectar of Krishna's holy names, and then He initiates everyone into the chanting of the holy names. And by doing so, He has made things very easy for the living entity. So that was the note on which Harinila Prabhu ended his class very beautifully. Yesterday also, His Grace Padmanayam Prabhu also spoke about the power of charity. He gave 3 kinds of charities, and then the last one is called Bimal Dana. Charity that is given without any expectation, charity that is given for the purpose of giving, just for the purpose of duty. So such charity is very purifying. In a conversation between Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj, this topic came up. When Krishna appeared in Vrajapura, Vrajapura means Vrindavan, Nanda Maharaj was so happy. He was so excited that Nanda Maharaj gave away 2 million cows to the brahmanas. And he offered 7 hills of grains, all decorated with golden clothes and embroidery. So in a discussion with Vasudeva, when he went to pay his taxes to Kamsa the king, this topic came up. Kalena snana sauchabhyam, samskarais tapasijaya, sudyanti danais santushtya, dravyani atmatma vidyaya. That by taking a bath, first he said by time, the effect of time, kalena, by the effect of time, everything becomes purified. By taking a bath, one's body becomes purified. By washing, all dirty things are cleansed. By samskaras, birth is purified. By tapasya, austerities, the senses and the mind is purified. By rendering service to the brahmanas and offering charity to the brahmanas, one's property becomes purified. By satisfaction, sudyanti, by satisfaction, the mind is purified. And by Krishna consciousness, the soul is purified. So, offering dana or charity to qualified personalities, to exalted personalities, Padmanayam Prabhu said it offers protection. So in the Vedic times, charity is given to the brahmanas because the brahmanas can offer spiritual knowledge, and that spiritual knowledge can offer protection. So such a beautiful class I gave yesterday. Today we are looking at this verse. And in fact, this verse is talking about the 4 types of brahmacharis. The first line of this verse, sāvitram, prājāpatyam, brahmam, bṛhat tathā. Sāvitram means observance of celibacy for 3 days. for the ceremony of the thread ceremony. One is supposed to observe celibacy whilst the thread ceremony is conducted. So at least one is supposed to observe celibacy for 3 days during the period of the thread ceremony. The brahmacharya, he accepts the period of celibacy for the study of the scriptures. So long as he's studying the scriptures under the care of the spiritual master, he remains celibate. And so such a brahmachari is called brahmachari. Then we have prājāpatyam. He executes the brahmacharya for 1 year under the care of the spiritual master. So we have first sāvitram, observance of celibacy for 3 days, prājāpatyam, execution of celibacy for 1 year, Brahma, acceptance of celibacy for a period that one studies the scriptures, and then we have the bṛhat. The bṛhat, or the Naistika brahmachari, means the whole of his life he abstains from any relationship with the opposite sex. So, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that during the student life, the brahmacharya were given full instructions about the importance of the human form of life. Thus, the basic education was designed to encourage the student in becoming free from family encumbrances. So, the brahmachari ashram is the foundation for all the other spiritual orders. And so it is very important that somehow or the other one must go through that ashram, even if it is just 3 days, even if it is just 1 year, even if it is just for the period of studying the scriptures, Vedic scriptures, or if one is able to stay the rest of his life under the care of the spiritual master, one builds his character, one builds determination, one becomes very strong in understanding the goal of human life. Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita mentions icha dvesa samutena dvandva mohena bharata. That every living entity that takes birth in this material world is affected by dualities. It's affected by dualities. Dualities of hate and desire and hate, actually. The dualities of desire and hate. As soon as a living entity takes birth in this material world, he is affected by desire and hate. And that is a contamination. It is a contamination because the real constitutional position of the living entity is to love Krishna and to love the expansions of Krishna in the form of the living entities or the Swamsa's expansions, the Vishnu Tattva expansions. But when the living entity takes birth in this material world, he becomes infected with desire, material desires, and hatred towards Krishna and towards other living entities. And therefore, from the beginning of life, one has to undergo Vedic education. One has to undergo training. One has to receive instructions from the spiritual master how to deal with this desire and hate. In fact, in the 4th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, in a discussion with Prajāpatyam, narrates the story of Puranjana. Puranjana simply means the living entity who wanders away from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and finds himself or herself in the material world, trying to become the enjoyer. Puranjana means the enjoyer. So Narada Muni tells the story of Puranjana to King Prajāpatyam. He said the living entity is living in a city, the city of 9 gates. These 9 gates, 5 of the gates are facing the east, 1 gate is facing the north, and 1 gate is facing the south. And then he talks about 2 gates that are in the western side. So, Narada Muni, furthermore, went on to describe in details how these gates are being used by Puranjana, the living entity, in trying to fulfill his desires. As soon as the living entity takes birth in the material world, he is infected with material desires. He is infected with hatred. He is infected with material qualities. And therefore, it is paramount, it is important, it is imperative for the living entity to gain training, to have training from his childhood. So Narada Muni went on to say that in the eastern direction, there are 2 gates. They are called Kadotyata and Avirmukhi. Kadyota means a glowworm, and Avirmukhi means torchlight. These are the eyes. The 2 eyes are facing the east. And the living entity, Puranjana, he uses the eyes to fulfill his desires. But he cannot use the eyes without a friend. And that friend is called Dhyuman. Dhyuman means the sun. Without light, the eyes are useless. So Narada Muni says that the eastern gates, there are 5, the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth. The living entity uses the 2 eyes, the 2 nostrils, and the mouth to fulfill his desires. On the northern side, which is the left ear, that's 1 gate. On the southern side, which is the right ear, is another gate. So Narada Muni says that the right ear is meant for karma kandya, hearing topics about material enjoyment, fruitive activities, attaining the heavenly planet. But the northern ear, which is the left ear, is actually meant for spiritual discussions, spiritual topics that lead the living entity out of the material world. So therefore, it says that a living entity receives spiritual instruction, he receives mantras, he receives initiation through the left ear from the spiritual master. Then, Narada Muni went on to say that the western gates, which are the genitals and the rectum, these are described as asuric. Asuri means they are demonic. And those gates, they actually lead the living entity away completely from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who is devoted to these western gates, it becomes very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. And that is why this life of brahmacharya is important. Tapasya brahmacharyena samanya cha damena cha tyaga satya sochabhyam yamena niyamena vaha. When one accepts the life of a brahmachari, he concentrates his mind and observes celibacy. He undergoes austerity, voluntarily giving up sense gratification. Tyagena satya sochabhyam. Tyaga means austerity, difficulties. One undergoes austerity. One undergoes a difficult life for the purpose of purification, for the purpose of purifying the mind and the senses. And so, it is a very important ashram for building character, for building integrity, for giving foundation to the living entity. And so, Srila Prabhupada says that it is the foundation of all education. It is the basic education designed to encourage the student of how to become free from family encumbrances. In other words, accepting the position of a family head. That's the duty of the husband. He has to deal with so many things. So if one can avoid that completely, life becomes much easier. The process of Krishna consciousness becomes much easier. Somehow, if one is not able, one should accept the grihastha ashram, live peacefully with their wife, and continue to practice Krishna consciousness. For the process of bhakti, Mahaprabhu does not put emphasis on ashrams. He put emphasis on sincerity of practice. If one practices Krishna consciousness very sincerely, he gets the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we see that in the practice of Krishna consciousness, in the distribution of Krishna consciousness, Mahaprabhu was very liberal. He even gave Krishna consciousness to animals. In the Jharkhand forest, Lord Chaitanya, he gave love of Godhead to all kinds of animals. To deer, to tiger, to elephants, to lions, to cranes, to all kinds of living entities. They all got the mercy, they all got this wonderful love of Godhead. And they began to chant the names of Krishna and dance. And they gave up their animosity, they gave up their enmity, they gave up their hatred. So it means that this Krishna consciousness, anybody, any living entity can actually participate in Krishna consciousness. Although practicing celibacy actually empowers the living entity, as Prabhupada mentions in the last part of his purport. He says that we had the opportunity to meet an avowed brahmachari in the personality of our spiritual master, Vishnupat Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Goswami Maharaj. And such a great soul is called a Naistiki brahmachari. So we can see that if one is able to maintain throughout his life such an observance of abstinence, one becomes very much empowered. In fact, there are a number of examples of personalities who live such lives, and we can see how much they were empowered. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed. He prayed to Lord Jagannath, he prayed to Lord Vishnu to send him an empowered soul. He prayed to have a ray of Vishnu as his son who could or would help him establish Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission on earth in a very powerful way. And as a result of that his prayer, of that his request, Lord Jagannath, Lord Vishnu gave him such a special soul as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And so, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was able to establish Krishna consciousness. He established the 64 mats throughout India and Bangladesh. And he sent out disciples to Europe and different parts of the world to establish Krishna consciousness. And because of his preaching, because of his strong preaching, he was able to influence His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada to go to the West and establish Krishna consciousness, which we are all benefiting from today. So we can see that this abstinence, this vow of complete celibacy, bṛhat brahmacharya, has benefited the whole world. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are other examples as well. Bhishma Dev was also a lifetime brahmacharya. And we all know that Bhishma Dev could not be influenced by death. Bhishma Dev surpassed death. Bhishma Dev, death has no touch on him. He could choose when he wanted to die. Even though he was pierced by so many arrows, but Bhishma Dev did not die. He remained as long as he wanted until the sun moved to the northern hemisphere. That is the power of celibacy. We also see in the life of Markandeya Rishi. Markandeya Rishi, after his thread ceremony by his father, Markandeya Rishi decided to remain celibate. And his whole life, he remained celibate. And he performed so many austerities that Indra, the king of heaven, became very disturbed. Indra became very envious that this Markandeya Rishi, if I don't cause his fall down, he's going to come and take over my position. That is Indra's mood. He is always afraid of his position. And therefore, when he sees any yogi, any person performing great austerities, observing such abstinence, celibacy, Indra becomes disturbed. So he sends his apsaras in their numbers to go and cause Markandeya Rishi's fall down. But Markandeya Rishi, he was so absorbed in his brahmacharya, in his meditation, in his austerities, that he was not affected. And because of that, Naranarayan Rishi appeared before Markandeya Rishi to bless him, to give him a boon for being able to survive the attacks of Indra. Also, it is mentioned Vibhu, the son of Dharma, also remained celibate throughout his whole life. And as a result, it is said that 88,000 sages, they all took shelter of him, and they learned signs of self-control. They learned the signs of austerity. They learned the signs of proper behavior from Vibhu, simply because he had dedicated his life for a full life of abstinence, a full life of celibacy. So those who can actually go the whole length of their lives without giving in to the senses, they become empowered and they can do such wonderful things, just as we are seeing in the lives of these wonderful souls. However, Srila Prabhupada also mentions that in grihastha life, if one lives with a wife and performs the rituals of the grihastha life, and they bring forth good children and bring them up in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada says that is also as good as brahmacharya life. Of course, Krishna himself says that sex life, which is not against religious principles, I am that sex life. So it means if one practices the rules and regulations in the grihastha life and brings forth good children and bring them up in Krishna consciousness, that is also as good as brahmacharya life. So in this way, all of us, we can practice Krishna consciousness, we can practice abstinence, we can practice this austerity in order to get freed from this body and go back home, back to Godhead. That is the mission of Srila Prabhupada's movement, and that is why we're all here, so that we can get the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we can all go back home, back to Godhead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So any comments or questions? That's on 2 minutes. Yes, Rameshwar Prabhu.
Thank you very much for both summarizing the last two classes and then giving this brilliant class today. Thank you. I wanted to point out an observance that I saw with Srila Prabhupada. When he came to the West, he did not see that taking birth in a male body was anything special anymore. He had to consider that the entire population, whether they are born in a male body or a female body, are Sudras or less. So Lord Chaitanya, working through Prabhupada, he expanded and created a whole new ashram, which didn't exist before. It's called brahmacharini ashram. And then that way he treated his female disciples as if they were as good as the man disciples. And that's Prabhupada's vision, that the women can be as good as preachers, the men can be great preachers. The body is not the issue. As you said, the sincerity of the effort is the issue. So I just wanted to share what I saw Prabhupada say when he created this brahmacharini ashram, and how he treated everyone as above the bodily conceptions, his sons and daughters equally. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. That's why we need you. Yes, there's a hand here. One question?
Not a question so much as a comment. Thank you, Prabhu, for the class, and thank you, Rameshwar Prabhu, for reminding us of Srila Prabhupada's great magnanimity. Prabhupada also said that I became successful because I understood how the Western society is, and I included the ladies who were coming, which was unheard of before. So Prabhupada attributed his success to the fact that he understood how the society is and included. So just wanted to add a little bit more to thank Srila Prabhupada and thank Rameshwar Prabhu that today we all ladies are getting a chance, just like the men, to make our lives successful. Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada is special.
Prabhupada's completely exhibiting his genius quality in building ISKCON.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.